Welcome to the test of the iPhone 11 night mode.
There's a sparkle in your eyes. I feel the warmth of your skin. Just the touch of your hand makes me.
Alright, so now that it's dark enough, let's get started. Hey guys, what is going on? My name is Yen, and today we're out here to test the night mode on the iPhone 11 and the iPhone 11 Pro. This isn't a super scientific test, but I'm going to be stacking it up against a DSLR mirrorless camera. This is the Sony a6400 with the Sigma 16mm f1.4 lens. I thought this video would be fun to make because, as I found out in my iPhone 11 review, comparing this night mode across the previous iPhones, there really just isn't much competition. So I thought the logical next step was to compare it to a legitimate camera. Now this video really isn't about seeing which camera is better. Obviously each has its own advantages for each use case. I want to see to what extent can the night mode save a picture, because for a lot of people this is the only camera they have on them at all times. Just so you know, I'm going to try to leave everything I can possible automatic on my Sony camera. This is just really a test to see what the capabilities are, not so much your manual control, because when it comes to the iPhone, you really don't have that much manual control. So just to make this test fair, I'm just gonna leave it on, just put it into picture priority mode on my Sony and let's get it. And before we get started, let's go ahead and establish what these lenses look like. I'm going to be taking pictures of several different objects. This is one of them. Where is this light coming from? Oh, it's over there. Anyway, so this is what the wide lens looks like. This is what the telephoto lens looks like. And this is what the ultra wide looks like. These sensors are all 12 megapixels, but the lenses themselves have a different aperture, with the wide lens being the best low light performer. So if you're in a really dark environment, I recommend sticking to the wide lens. Now I can definitely tell there's like significant amounts of grain in the ultra wide one, whereas the wide one has much more reduced noise. It's not as fuzzy or soft as the ultra wide lens. And the fact that the ultra wide doesn't support night sight really doesn't help its case. However, the other two lenses should be fine. And if you're wondering about the front facing camera, no, it doesn't have night mode either, which kind of sucks, I know. Alright, for the record, this is what the front facing camera looks like, and I gotta say, it's kind of crusty in low light. It makes me look like I just woke up. Alright, let's lamp it up, shall we? Now, as you guys can see here in the Sony picture, part of this flower is kind of blown out. That's just because, like I said, it's put in automatic mode. If you were to adjust the settings, or if you were to shoot in RAW and tune it up later, the story would change dramatically. Now, if you're looking at this comparison, you might think, yeah, the iPhone is definitely sharper than the Sony. You're seeing this because this image was shot at f1.4, and the iPhone, again, doesn't have that manual control, not because of any software limitations put in by Apple. It's just because the sensors in these little tiny phone cameras are way closer to the lens itself, so any light that hits the lens doesn't have that much room to diffuse, and therefore is always in focus. That's why the background has much less blur. Now the story changes when you turn on the blur in the portrait mode section of the iPhone's camera app. This artificially simulates a traditional depth of field look that you would get from a camera. This was actually f5.6, so if we switch it to f1.4, which is what the Sony had, you can see that the edge detection literally falls apart. As far as low light performance though, I think both are pretty equal, although the iPhone requires much less adjustment to get a similar result. Like in this example, if we turn on the portrait mode, you can see that it looks really similar, almost the same as the Sony picture, except you can actually see more inside the lamp because of that increased dynamic range. Now I do think Sony takes the cake here with low light performance. As you guys can see here with night mode on, you can see the same amount of brightness and color in the images, but if we switch to portrait mode to get that blurry background, you automatically lose night mode. You cannot use night mode in portrait mode. Now this normally wouldn't be that big of a deal, however when you are taking pictures in low light, this basically makes you choose between having that blurry background, which is adjustable by the way, and having a properly exposed picture. Now this variable portrait mode, however, is still artificial. It's very useful, very handy, and can fight some of the edge detection errors on the iPhone, but honestly, it doesn't make the image any brighter as it would with a natural aperture. And if you're thinking about using the iPhone to record videos in low light, I would not, because night mode doesn't apply to that, and an actual camera would definitely serve you better here. But if you absolutely have to, stay away from the ultra-wide lens because there's just so much grain. So unless you really just want that tunnel vision looking footage, then yeah, you should not make videos with the ultra-wide, at least not at night. Alright, so what do you guys think about the iPhone 11 Pro's low light performance when it comes to night mode and no night mode, or versus an actual camera? I think the night mode really put it on par even with my Sony camera. It's excellent at reducing noise, bringing out the detail, and with the 11 Pro having that third lens supported with night mode really does make it a versatile camera. I personally think the iPhone held its own for a lot of the photography, but if you just want your phone to take better pictures in the dark, the iPhone 11 Pro is a winner. If you like this kind of video, be sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys in the next one.